Hello, Masterworks Club. Today we're going to make some simple freestanding lace Christmas ornaments. These are quick and easy to make, and what's more, you can make them out of pretty much any shape that you can draw or trace or use the magic wand to trace. So you can make sports-themed ones. You could make all kinds of cool stuff with these. I'm going to show you a couple different methods for inputting the shape in order to do this. And it's pretty quick and easy though. Once you get the general idea down, you can make these pretty quickly. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use one of the built-in shapes in Masterworks and turn it into a freestanding lace design. So you're going to go up to the artwork tool and click on the little arrow under it. Go down to custom shape and left click on custom shape. From here, any of these shapes actually we'd be able to use for this technique. Now, since we're making Christmas ornaments in particular, we're going to be using a Christmassy themed design. But like I said, any of these would work. Any shape like this we could make like a nice bookmark out of. Like, what we're going to make is going to be specifically an ornament, but you could make it the same way with like any of these shapes and make like a cat bookmark or a bunny bookmark or something like that. So I'm going to pick one of these snowflake designs. I'll pick this one here. And we're going to left click on that. And it's going to bring our snowflake in. So the first thing you want to do is determine what size you want your snowflake, freestanding snowflake to be. By default, so if we look on our transform tool here, we can see that the default width is about 3.4 and the height is 3.9. So it's about 4 inches tall. If you want it to be taller than that, though, you can scale it up. You can either grab one of the corners and drag it up to make it bigger, or you can use the transform tool to set it to exactly what size you want. Say I know that I want it to be exactly 4.5 inches tall. I can type that in and hit apply. But once you're satisfied with the size of the design, what you're going to do is go up to the apply stitches tool to make sure that the item is highlighted, the snowflake is highlighted, selected, and if it's not, you can click on it. You can click on it up in the sequence view. It all works the same way. And then we go up to apply stitches, and the stitch that we're going to choose is called a loose fill. Left click on that, and what this is actually going to do is just put a really loose selection of straight lines in our shape. So when we sew this out, it's just going to sew out just like a really loose horizontal line, and then we can actually go in and what I want to do is take this and change the density from 4 millimeters to 3 and hit apply. Okay, so that makes it a little tighter. For our purposes, this is about as tight as we want it. So the default works, but it's not quite as good as turning it down just a little bit. What we want to do is make sure that the traveling route here is set along edge. Now that is the default setting, but you don't want to accidentally change this. Watch what happens if we have the traveling route set to be along the middle. See how crazy this looks? That's what's going to make this work, is the fact that it's along the edge. Okay, so now what we need is to have a set of lines going perpendicular to this first set of lines. And there's a real easy way to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to right click and copy, and right click and paste to get a second snowflake in. And for the second snowflake, what we're going to do is go up to the reform tool and just left click on the reform tool itself, and you'll see this black line here in the middle with these 2 black dots. What you can do is move your mouse over one of these black dots, and the cursor will actually turn into a pointer with a black dot. And when you have the cursor as the pointer with a black dot, you're going to right click and then go down to set angle, and you're going to change the angle to 90. Okay, and that's going to automatically change your stitch direction. I'll put it back on the select tool. So now we've got kind of a grid going, and that is going to create a nice netting. That's going to be like it's going to be a freestanding netting. Now to finish this off, we actually have to have a stitch going around the outside of this design that's going to hold everything together. And in order to do that, we're going to copy and paste one more time. Copy, paste, and then we're going to go up to the apply stitches tool and choose a satin stitch. And that's it. And what that's going to do is there's kind of a little rough edges along the corners here where it was forming these sharp angles before we had this. Here, I'll delete this so you can see what I mean. Look in here, you can actually see where there's some little wiggly lines in there, and the satin stitch is not only going to finish off our edge so that it holds together on the water soluble stabilizer, but it's going to hide those little rough areas too. So let me just redo my satin stitch, and you see how that completely covers up those problem areas, and nobody's ever going to see them. So even on a really complex shape, you can get away with a pretty complex shape. I was doing this earlier with a picture of a snowman, and that was working just fine. I did it with some text also, like I did like the Orioles word art logo that just says Orioles. I'll do that here in a minute because there's something else I want to show you with that. But so basically, this snowflake, you could loop a little Christmas tree hanger on here and hang it on the tree. I mean, you'd probably want to make this white. And then another thing that you can do is you can monogram these or put like a small fill design in there, and it works nicely. But last year I actually made some ornaments for Meadow where I put an M like this in some ornaments, and I made them glow in the dark. So I thought that would be neat. She really liked it. So then you can pick whatever font you want. But here I've got this little monogrammed snowflake that could be turned into a Christmas decoration. And so if you've got people on your list that you want to give them a gift and you want it to be personal and everything, but maybe you're going to make a lot of these for a lot of people, coworkers and stuff, you can customize them with their initials, or you could put the year, all kinds of stuff. But this netting will stand up to a fair amount of stitches. So to sew this out, what I recommend you use is the fabric type wash away, like Solvy's or Sulky's is Fabra Solvy. The Baby Lock brand is they call it Dissolve Away Mesh. It's a mesh wash away stabilizer rather than the plastic kind of wash away. And you're going to sew it out, and then you're going to rip it out as much as you can. You're going to rip out away as much of it as you can. Well, actually, no. With a mesh, you have to cut it. So you cut away as much of it as you can, and then you're just going to rinse it and then let it dry, and you get a nice stiff lace ornament that is going to stand up and keep its shape really nicely. So that's the basic technique, and we can input our artwork in a number of different ways, though. So this was one of the artwork shapes that's built into the program. But we could also do a lot of other ways to bring our artwork in. We could go in and use the backdrop tool and select an image that we want to trace. Like here, I can open up the Orioles logo, and if I wanted to do this, I could go in and manually trace it, or I could use the artwork wizard to do it. But for our purposes here, it actually works perfectly well to go in and use the artwork tool, choose Magic Wand, and then click some more on the inside here where it's orange. It's going to automatically trace this whole thing. And for doing this particular thing, we are actually going to lose the dot on the eye, but I think anybody that looks at this is going to know what we mean with this, even without the dot for the eye. And actually, we could actually merge the eye with it. I'll show you how to do that. So we're gonna Magic Wand this part, the dot on the eye too. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my backdrop here by clicking on the backdrop tool and then selecting Show Backdrop to hide it. If we really want to have this this dot be incorporated, we can move it and overlap it slightly with the rest of the design. Select everything, right click, transform artwork, and choose Unite, and that'll actually kind of see how you can still see that it's a separate piece. Anyway, you can do that or not do that. It's up to you. If you were making a design like this, I would say that would be up to you whether you want it to be that way. And incidentally, another thing that when you're using the Magic Wand tool like this, if we look at the reform here, you see how many points there are in here? If we wanted to adjust this in any way, it would be really difficult because of how many points there are. And then also, if we zoom way in, you can actually see how these lines are pretty wavy. There's an easy way to fix that. You have to have everything selected, right? So you hit Control A or Select All, whatever you're going to do, and then move your mouse over one of the lines so you get the hand. Right click and choose Simplify. See how that smoothed my lines out just a little tiny bit? We'll get closer and do it some more. Like look here where this is real wavy. We're going to right click, Simplify. See how it straightened that out? You can actually do this a number of times. It'll do a little bit of it at a time, and then it'll come to a point where it doesn't straighten it out anymore. But now when we look at our reform, we actually have far fewer dots than we did before, and we can just keep on doing this until it removes as many dots as it possibly can. So I've just done it like 6-7 times here. We'll go back to reform to take a look, and there's even fewer now. So that's just kind of a tip. Anytime you're using the magic wand tool, it's going to add way more little dots in than you're going to ever need. But anyway, once we have this shape, we can go ahead and we'll select the whole thing. We'll right click and we'll choose we'll copy and paste it. And now we're going to have one that is we're going to keep as artwork for a while, and then we're going to go back to the first one. We're going to choose apply stitches, loose fill like we did before, set the density to 3, hit apply. We're going to take this and copy and paste it. Okay, and then we're going to choose this, make sure we have the second one selected, go to reform, add, we just hit the reform tool actually. There we go, so we get our inclination. Now the inclination is going all the way across from here to here. We're going to right click on one of our inclination endpoints, hit the set angle, choose 90. That gives us our nice grid. Okay, and now the reason that we made a copy first is because we need to actually do something special to make this work right. I'm going to first click and drag my artwork so that it's last. This is the one that I made a copy of at the outset here. Now watch what happens if I take this and apply a satin stitch to it without changing some things. Look, I get a big warning. I get some big crazy jump stitches here, and these aren't actually even jump stitches. This is going to try and make this stitch, and that wouldn't be very good. So what you actually have to do when you're going to create a satin stitch outline on something that has holes in it, like right here, and right here, and right here, you have to break the artwork apart first. So we're going to right click the artwork and choose break apart, and then we have to select all of these individual parts that make up this whole, the what used to be that one piece that we just broke up. So I'm going to select the first one, hold down my shift key, and select the last one to get this whole line. Then we're going to go to apply stitches and choose satin, and this time I'm not going to get that error message. It's going to put my nice satin stitch around it. I could sew this out. I could make it like Christmas colors, like if I wanted to have like an Orioles themed Christmas tree. We could even take the one line, the horizontal line, and make it red, take the vertical line and make it green, and then the outer satin stitch, we could make it like Orioles orange. Ooh, that's hideous. I guess you wouldn't do that. Maybe you can make it like a gold color, or red, or green, whatever color you want it to be, to kind of make it more Christmassy themed. I don't know. I'm terrible with design decision stuff here. One other thing. When you are sewing this out, you want to use the same thread on the top and the bottom for your lace part, for your netting in here. Otherwise, you get kind of an ugly white that shows through. Well, I guess unless you're using white thread on top, obviously. If you're not using white thread, you want to make sure that you use the same thread on the top and bottom. Otherwise, you can go ahead and use the finishing touch bobbin thread on the bottom for both ways. So anyway, that's another way that we can get our artwork in. We can do the custom shapes, or we can go in and use the magic wand to bring in our shape. And of course, we could also use the artwork tools to draw in a shape and trace it manually off a backdrop if you wanted to do that. Basically, it would end up being the same process in the end. Another thing we could do is take an existing custom shape and modify it so that it's able to hang on the tree a little easier. There are two ways I thought of to do this. The first way is to add a hole into an existing shape, and to do that, it's not that hard, but you do have to understand kind of the way that artwork works in this program. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go into the artwork tool, choose a custom shape. I'll do, since we're doing Christmas tree ornaments, I'll do a Christmas tree. Alright, and you size it to whatever size you want your ornament to be. But then we actually have to bring in another shape. In this case, we're going to bring in a circle, or it could be an oval, just a hole that we're going to be able to put a little Christmas tree ornament hanger on. or through. So we're going to go back to artwork, choose the circle tool, and click and drag your circle in there. Okay, so we've got our two shapes that we're going to be working with, the tree and the circle. And what we need is we need to have another one of each of these shapes. So we're going to select everything, we're going to right click, copy, right click, paste. So we should have two trees and two circles. Alright, now the first thing we're going to do is select our first tree and our first circle by holding down the control key and clicking on each one in the sequence view. Then you're going to right click and choose combine. So we're going to have a tree with a hole in it. Now this one that's the tree with the hole in it, we are going to apply the loose fill. Okay, and see how it doesn't fill in where the hole is. Set your density to 3 again and apply. You're going to right click, copy, and right click paste. So we've got two trees. Use the reform tool. You're going to right click on your inclination, set angle to 90. Okay, just like we've been doing before in the other lace designs that we made here. Now it's important to note that when you copy and paste, the copied piece, the new piece is actually put at last in order. So we're going to want to take this and drag it up so that it sews out right after our first one. So we're going to left click on that and drag it up right on top of our first fill so that these sew out first and then second. Okay, but we've got this, and now all we got to do is take our outer outline, which if we hadn't had two of these and we tried to copy and paste the one that had the hole in it, it would not work for this. But we're going to apply the satin stitch to that, and then click on the hole, apply stitch, satin to that, and that is going to make a nice finished hole in our design. We can add things to it. We could even go in and you could decorate this tree. You could add little colored ornaments to it, by doing more circles and making, we could have like a red one and apply a fill stitch to that, and then put these all over the place, make them all different colors, make it a festive looking tree. Just kind of ideas for these kind of things. You can put the little Christmas balls on it. You can even draw strings and kind of like make it look like it's got tinsel. Use like a metallic thread. And if you're going to do this though and have like a running stitch going through here to create like a tinsel look, maybe use metallic thread on that, you want to make sure that this sews out before the satin stitches do it, and make sure it goes under the satin stitches a little bit. That's going to hold it in place. So like say, well, I don't have any metallic colors, but so you take that and then you're going to make sure that this sews out before the satins. Let's see if we can see it in the 3D. See how that goes and tucks under my satin stitches in here? Oh, I didn't. I put it before the satins. So you put it after the satins, yeah, and it's going to tuck under my satin stitches. So that's just something else you could do to kind of make this a little more festive. Now the other way that we could make a hanger is to make it so that we don't need to have a Christmas tree ornament hanger little wire thing at all by adding our own hanger shape to the design. So how would that look? Well, if we had, let's see, we'll pick a different shape this time. How do I want to do this? I guess it doesn't really matter what shape we use. We'll do a little bear. We'll make a little Christmas bear. And so basically for this, all we have to do is go in and draw our shape of our hanger. And I'm being pretty sloppy, but that's not a very good hanger. Let me try that again. Alright, I'm going to start over again. Click, click, click. And I want it to come over kind of like this. I'm no artist, folks, so I'm not working with existing art. Look out. Okay, but so that more or less works. And what we can do is drop it right on top of our bear, like that. And we select both items. And you're going to right click, transform artwork, and choose Unite. And now it's all one piece. So when we go and turn this into our freestanding lace design, by doing the loose fill, of course we change the density, copy, paste, reform, set angle 90, one more copy and paste, and apply the satin to it. Now we've got a little freestanding lace bear, which we can add as features in. We could draw, put little eyes and give them little buttons and all of that kind of stuff. Make them festive, Christmassy colors, and maybe make this a little longer or a little thinner too. But anyway, this will hang right on something. Now, mine's kind of ugly, but if you take your time and draw this shape in and have nice curves, then it could work. Anyway, that was just an idea that I had as I was doing this video. I was thinking, oh, I wonder if we could do that. But that's a way that you can use the Unite tool to create, additions to your shapes. So, anyway, hope you guys have fun making these nice little simple lace shapes. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next month.